It's great that we are basically gathered this particular time to discuss a very important issue. This is basically regulatory sandbox that was recently released in Nigeria. We've been working so close with the National Insurance Commission of Nigeria. And as FSD Africa, we are really keen to look at how we can cause systemic change within the continent. And importantly, we believe that by really working with partners such as the National Insurance Commission of Nigeria, we have an opportunity to catalyze change within specific countries, but also just really providing a platform that will enable innovators to come up with solutions and also come up with products that are going to help this particular continent really build the resilience that it deserves. I know all of you are aware that currently the insurance penetration across the continent is still below 3%, and we have some work to do. And this work basically requires us to work together, not only as an insurance sector, but also as a financial sector, to look at what opportunities we can be able to create, but also looking at how different significant partnerships can be generated. Now, regulations play a very important role because regulators really provide a platform that creates market stability, but also enables the customers to really feel that they are well protected. And with that, then it really means that regulators have to be in the picture in terms of how then they provide regulations that are going to be responsive to the kind of products that the market requires, are going to be responsive to the kind of market actors that are going to bring in these particular products into the fore, but also just encouraging innovation and enabling the innovators to get into space that they are able to provide these particular products. Now, as FSD Africa, we've been working with NAICOM in a number of projects. We did initiate in March 2022, we launched Risk Regulatory and Regulatory Lab that was looking at how then can we be able to come up with opportunities around regulations that will support the sector. And I'm happy to report that one of the key outcomes was the regulatory sandbox that was released a couple of months ago. And that is very good result that we will be able to see how it will have an impact within the Nigerian market. Further than that, we've been running a program called BimaLab in Nigeria, and so far we've managed to support over 10 startups in Nigeria within the last couple of months. And I know the regulatory sandbox that was released will play a very crucial role in enabling these particular companies to get to the market, to scale their solution, and also to build their business strategies around the market. Further than that, I also want to mention that we are still really working close to with the insurance regulator in Nigeria, and I will be able to really see how best this particular session will give us an opportunity to really drive the change that the market needs. I know, just to mention a couple of few things that we still continue to advocate as FSD Africa. We are a change agent. We'll continue pushing for change where necessary, and we'll work with partners to enable these particular changes to happen. NAICOM has been instrumental in enabling us also to meet our role as a financial sector development agency, making sure that the continent really gets the right regulations and the right policies to enable that change. We are also committed to a sustainable future, and we believe that as an organization, we have a crucial role to play for the sustainable future of this particular continent. We are aware that the continent is really facing a number of challenges, from health issues to climate related issues to economic issues. And with that, then insurance sector plays a very crucial role in enabling various sectors to play. So for instance, we really need to provide health insurance solutions. We need to develop climate-related solutions to tackle issues such as drought and floods that have been ravaging this particular continent, but also just to make sure that we provide rightful products and services to SMEs, given that the African continent is highly driven by SMEs within the region. Also, just to conclude these particular introductory remarks, we will be partnership driven. And that basically means that we need to work with all of you. We need to work with innovators within the innovation ecosystem by addressing the challenges that innovators are facing, such as training, technical skills that they might need. We as FSD Africa, we are keen to provide those particular solutions to our innovators. We're also keen to ensure that challenges such as scaling and catalytic funding is also availed to our partners as innovators within the continent, just to make sure that they are able to scale their solutions to the markets that they intend to reach. The last thing that I want to mention is that we will work closely with NAICOM, and this is something that we've already demonstrated. NAICOM has demonstrated that they are a great partner to FSD Africa, and basically this can be seen through the results that they are currently delivering through such policies and guidance such as the regulatory sandbox. So we are really, really privileged and happy to continue working with the National Insurance Commission of Nigeria. We'll continue working with the industry and the insurance sector of Nigeria, but also just to make sure that all of us are working towards the intended goal of building resilience within the continent. We have some work to do, and that work can only be done by all of us. By all of us, I mean all of us working together, committed to building a continent that will be able to stand the test of time, and a continent that will be able to create a sustainable future for its people, but also for its natural resources. Thank you, and I want to now pass this chance to the team at NAICOM. They'll be talking to us about the regulatory sandbox guidelines that was released. And I know they are committed really to provide the rightful support that we all need within Nigeria, but also across the continent. So I'll take this opportunity to pass this particular baton to Ahmed Metadan to kindly guide us through the next stage of this particular process. Ahmed Metadan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elias, for that very comprehensive introduction. So to continue, I think from the NAICOM team, just to introduce myself, I am Ahmed Metadan, Corporate Strategy and Special Duties. And I think I'd like to also introduce my boss, Dr. Usman Jankara, and probably he would like to say one or two things before we continue. Hello, sir. Sorry, Elias, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm seeing Dr. Yankara trying to.
Yeah, maybe he has some.
Maybe he has some audio issues. Yeah, so maybe you can proceed, and then maybe we'll get his comments.
Okay.
Later.
Okay.
All right.
All right. No problem. So I think I'll continue by. Okay. I'll issue an apology. Because the chair from the NAICOM team is not able to join us at the moment. He's in another meeting, but he said that he will join us eventually. So I think I'll call on the next person, the presenter, Mr. Kenneth Arrow, probably to start us off with the presentation. Mr. Kenneth? Mr. Ken, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see Ken on the call. So Ken Arrow, if you can hear us, the stage is yours. And let us know if you have audio issues. Kenneth Arrow, can you hear us?
He also probably has some audio issues. Let me check.
All right, so as we wait for some technical issues to be sorted, I just want to have some additional comments and why this is really important to all of us. You know, one of the key challenges that have been cited over time is issues around regulations. And one of the key things that also I know you might come across is that the barriers to entry, particularly within the insurance space, is quite high, given that there are elements that somebody is required to comply with. And what the regulatory sandbox really presents to all of us is an opportunity for us to get a safe space to test some of the innovations that we've developed as innovators, but also as a sector, as the insurance sector. And that means that the National Insurance Commission of Nigeria is really looking forward to look at avenues in which some of these innovations can be tested within a safe environment. These particular innovations can also be given an opportunity to be utilized or to be consumed by consumers within the insurance market. And that is the essence why we will be able to see that the market tends to open up. It is important that NAICOM took this chance, and we'll be able to see what they have in space or in place for us with their regulatory sandbox. Thereafter, we'll be able to open up for question and answer with the people that have attended this particular call. And in case maybe you have any question, please put it on the chat. We should be able to address your questions as we kind of progress with this particular call. I want to check if Ahmed, the team is ready to take us through the Sandbox guidelines. Haben Metadin.
Well, we're still trying to sort out Kenneth Arrow's audio issues, so we'll be on shortly. Please bear with us.
All right, so as we continue waiting for that, I did also want to mention that the second thing is that innovation requires all of us to work together. And that means that we need to look at how then do we work with the sector. This means that we work with the insurance companies in rolling out some of these particular products. It requires us to also work with technology partners because most of the innovations that we are going to bring into the market are highly technology driven. We should also look at how best we address issues around consumer data and privacy issues, just to make sure that we do protect consumer data. We do ensure that their privacy is highly maintained as we kind of use tech to drive our product play within the market. Just to mention is that we will continue supporting the innovators that we've so far managed to accelerate. I did mention that we've accelerated 10 innovators in Nigeria. These particular innovators have gone ahead and kind of come up with very innovative customer-centric solutions that some have already gone into the market. We've seen some of the innovators being named as InsurTechs of the Year. One in Nigeria that was within the previous year, and that basically indicates that the market in Nigeria is ripe for innovation and also is ready to really make sure that the penetration that has been quite low in that particular market is increased or is improved. Importantly, we will also continue providing the necessary technical support, giving the right connections wherever possible to our innovators, but also just giving them more guidance through mentorship programs that we are currently running. Just to mention, we have a website, www.bimalab.org. This platform will enable innovators, insurance sector players, investors to connect, to basically create the future for innovation in the insurance market in Africa. So if you have a chance, kindly visit our website, www.bimalab.org. You should be able to really get a number of resources from the regulators, from the insurance sector, and also getting an opportunity to learn and basically co-create some of the challenges that you might be facing and co-create solutions that maybe some of the innovators that have gone through the program have managed to solve. I'll want again to check whether we are on with the audio from NAICOM.
Okay, Elias, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my sincere apologies. I think we have a challenge with our network. I am actually currently using my phone. So I've tried to log out and log in several times, but somehow, I can't speak through. Having said that, I would just like to say a few words, more or less just to appreciate FSD Africa for this rare support, especially in the regulatory hemisphere. One of the things with regulatory bodies, and it's global, is the lack of capacity. With the help of FSD, we are now able to develop capacity around a lot of concepts that were hitherto a bit strange or new to us. We are now able to discuss issues around ESG. Of course, one of the very, very important projects that we've been able to conclude is ESG. There's work ongoing currently around developing the framework in the Nigerian market. We're hoping that we'll be able to conclude that before the end of the third quarter of 2023. Of course, there's also an important project also ongoing, and that is about the risk-based capital project. That again, we can't but express our thanks to FSD for the support. A training is planned, and we're already working assiduously to ensure that this training holds in July. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. Beyond that, I will only just also add that our support, the support we have gotten from FSD Africa, have actually enabled us to really focus on, emergent issues in the regulatory environment, as well as in the operational environment, and that is really helping us appreciate and not only just appreciate, also having the benefit of a peer review that FSD has provided. I would like to introduce to you the Deputy Director of Transition and Policy, Mr. Gbenga Jaisimi. He's just joined. He is the one who apparently will chair this session since the director is unable to join. Mr. Gbenga Jaisimi, I wouldn't know if you can access and you can speak.
Yeah, Thank you, Jankara. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Like you just said from my colleague, I believe Jankara has said it all. I want to welcome you all to this meeting on InsurTech, launched by BimaLab. And I want to say good morning again to our partner, the FSC Africa. I don't know if Mr. Elias Mondi is equally there. Good morning to you and your crew. You are all welcome to this meeting. Without taking much time, because I can see that we are actually behind schedule. Jankara has actually laid the foundation, so I think we go by that, by his comment. Good morning. Thank you, everyone.
Ahmed, you can go ahead.
Okay, sir. So I think there's nothing more to do but to jump straight into it, without wasting further time, more time. I think, Mr. Kenneth, are you ready for us? Mr. Ken?
Yes, I'm here, Metadim. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, good morning, sir. You're welcome, sir.
I want to call on my screen, so just 1 minute. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. We can see. You can put it on slide, on presentation.
Yeah, I think it is on presentation slide now. All right. Sorry. I have to juggle between so many things. The delay in coming up to jump into this discussion. Thank you, Metadim, and thank you, Elias. And good morning, everyone, for joining this meeting. Just like my guys, the Dr. Jankara and Mr. Bunga actually laid the background, so I'll just jump straight into what the regulatory sandbox is all about. So in the course of this presentation, we are going to run through the powers of the Commission, overview of the regulatory sandbox guideline, then the regulatory sandbox regulate the framework and questions and answers. So with this, Section 49 of the NAICOM Act actually empowered the Commission to actually issue guidelines as it might deem necessary at any particular time. So among other guidelines that have actually been issued in the past is this regulatory sandbox. So now, what is the regulatory sandbox? It's actually an environment where regulators allow for live testing of innovations or insurance business models, products, and the writing and claims process, among others, in a more relaxed but a controlled environment. This is actually necessary because in order to actually allow innovation, we know how insurance is run. Insurance is more like an orthodox business model. So with this sandbox, it allows innovation. And what this sandbox is trying to do is that I'm aware some people might have submitted application to the Commission in the past, wherein we have to tell them this is not within the ambit of the law and it can't be approved. And most of the time we throw the application away. So, but with this, we allow anything innovative to run in a certain place where we relax on regulatory tools and also monitor how it functions. And basically a safe place in which business can test run. I've already said this. So okay. They don't sit like that. Oh, really? Okay. Okay, apologies. My attention was called that you can't see the presentation in a presentation mode. Can it be seen like that now?
Not yet.
Okay, Ahmed, they said not yet.
Maybe you can reshare, Kenneth.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, thanks.
It's not working, but it's on flash.
It's working now.
Okay.
Elias, is it working now?
Yeah, now it's good. It's on the presentation board. It's working.
Great. Okay. So apologies for that. So to continue, so what are the benefits? What benefits are of what are those things we are going to enjoy if we allow regulatory sandbox in the system? Then consumers will benefit from innovative products and no longer all these orthodox products that we always have within the insurance ecosystem. Then entrepreneurs and small business no longer have to worry about how their new product innovation business will fit into outdated regulatory models. It will allow regulators to generate practical evidence from live testing before making adjustments to the legal and regulatory framework. Then he helps regulators as well to actually learn from all they have going to do. So what the overview of the regulatory sandbox as was released by the commission. So business models, products, and services that will enhance efficiency in meeting consumer needs and drive innovation to reach the uninsured. We understand that the conventional insurance does not cover some certain category of the economy or persons within the insurance space. So with this innovation, this model should allow those uninsured within the local areas and even within the cities to actually get insurance products. Now, what is the concept of this regulatory sandbox? The regulatory sandbox is released to experiment innovative ideas in a relaxed environment with the aim of increasing insurance, penetration in Nigeria, and conforming with the country's financial inclusion strategy. From the financial inclusion strategy within the country, it is recorded that the insurance sector is actually the weak link, having a low percentage, which all of us know what it stands at this point. So who are the people allowed into this sandbox? Insurance solicitation, area that allows insurance solicitation, insurance products, underwriting, policy and claim servicing, and any other activity within the insurance value chain, which the commission at every particular time will find it useful for the ecosystem. Then applicants that must participate in this sandbox, they must have a product, service, or solution being proposed. Services which must be genuinely innovative and no longer going to be just bring motor insurance, break it into two and call it one name. Now, whatever product or service you're going to be offering must be very, very innovative. Then the business must be registered in Nigeria. The person to run that firm must be fit and a proper person. Must show evidence that the person understands the potential as a risk and legal and regulatory requirements for deploying the proposed insurance product within the country. Then application can only be received from insurance brokers, loss adjusters, and any other applicant as the commission deems fit. The commission at every particular time will always, if we have any particular person that want to give an objection or an approval to actually operate within the insurance space as a standalone intermediary, our law has even provided a section where he said he made mention of any other intermediaries. So any other person would feel like we didn't want to run within the insurance intermediary or even a standalone insurance companies will not hesitate to develop a framework for that particular group of people and also give them license as the needs arises. However, InsurTech that wish to deploy e-services in the sandbox, we have to apply in partnership with an insurer if the solution being proposed is an insurance product, underwriting, claims administration, or with a broker if the solution being proposed is sales and distributions, and commission's approval must be sought at any particular time. Then there are stages to which we can give this approval to participate in the sandbox. And there are actually 3 stages. Application stage, which includes the formal application, payment of prescribed application fee as may be determined, among other requirements. Then evaluation stage is at the point where we take time to go through the documents which the applicant may have submitted. And this review will take us not less than 45 days to go through all of that. Then after which the approval stage comes, which is more like the final approval. But before we give the final approval, we would have done our due diligence to ensure that the people who are going to run this business are not people of criminal backgrounds. So there must be people who are capable, who the society would have satisfied okay to run business. And even the public due diligence too would have even, the public will also comment to tell us if these people are capable to run businesses or not, or if there are people in the wanted list. Then the testing requirements. So before or upon application, the applicant and the commission will sit and actually agree on the parameters and benchmarks to reach the goals, also to determine the success and as well as the failure of the test. The testing period shall not exceed 12 months, after which an extension of 6 months can only be granted. And request for submission must get to the commission not less than 30 days to the end of testing period, and reason for such request must be provided to the commission. Where the commission deems it fit to extend, it will extend. If it doesn't want to, for any reasons, it will communicate and also decline it. The successful applicants will be allowed, shall not participate as customer and client. We've seen instances where insurance companies
Hi, everyone. I don't know if I'm the only one who's struggling to hear Kenneth. Ahmed, you can check from your end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so struggling to hear.
I can't hear him as well. So
We can, yeah, there's no audio. Yeah. Kindly check up with him.
Right, so let's see whether we can get hold of Kenneth again. I think it's some technical issues there with connectivity. So Ahmed, kindly check, or if with, all right, is back. Kenneth, can you proceed now?
All right, thank you. Sorry, where was I? Okay, the confidentiality of customer information. Customers are at liberty to cancel. The customer are at liberty to cancel their participation in the testing environment at any time. The rules and responsibilities. Owing to the fact that this regulatory sandbox it requires constant monitoring, the Commission is going to regularly monitor to see that this learn from it and see that these innovations are carried and cascaded down to into regulatory framework. With that, the unit that will be in charge of this Sandbox, both the testing and the application processes, will be the Commission's Market Conduct Unit, which is domiciled in the Policy and Regulation Directorate of the Commission. Then the Commission will be granted direct access to the testing environment and information garnered from the innovation testing. So these are things that the unit at all time must actually look out for. The IT infrastructure of the participants, the Commission, the unit must be aware of it and actually assess how adequate they are. The unit ensures that data protection laws are adhered to at all times. This is sacrosanct. The unit will monitor in real time or on-site the activities of the operators to ensure compliance with set rules and regulations. These are things that the unit must actually look out for. And we'll have the reporting requirement. The Commission requires all participants in the Sandbox testing environment to submit a monthly report, which must contain but not limited to the following: the performance benchmark and actual outcome, which are actually been agreed ab initio; key issues arising as observed from fraud or operational incident report, consumer complaint, and how it was resolved; risk assessment report, and any other report as may be required by the Commission. However, final reports shall be submitted to the Commission within 30 days of expiry of the Sandbox testing by the applicant. The report shall include, but not limited to this: key outcomes and performance indicators against agreed measures, grievances and resolutions, feedback from consumers, identify risk and ease management. Then there are a couple of ways to actually exit the Sandbox, either at the end of the testing period or where the objective of the testing is achieved before the 12 months. Revocation of the approval granted by the Commission or voluntary withdrawal by the applicant. However, the Commission reserves the right to revoke the approval granted to participate in the Sandbox at any time within the testing period if the applicant has failed to comply with the conditions stipulated for operation within the Sandbox. You know, we had said there are conditions and that must be set at the word go. So if at any particular time the applicant is found wanting for any particular breach of any of those items, then the Commission can revoke the approval. If the applicant also has acted in a manner that is detrimental to consumers and the public, and at this point, once the consumer or any member of the public complains for any breach or any manner that when the Commission found the applicant culpable, then the approval earlier granted will be revoked. Where critical and technical flaws are observed and have remained unresolved for 30 days. The participant has misled or concealed material facts from the Commission and or customers. The participant is undergoing or has been liquidated. The participant has failed to sustain the safeguard for the users of the services. Any other reason that the Commission considers critical to the continued operation of the testing. The Commission will give 30 days notice with reasons before it will revoke any approval earlier granted for the Sandbox participant. However, the participants have within that 30 days to convince the Commission to act otherwise. Then participants in the Sandbox must establish a
Ken, have we lost you again?
Seems like he's been muted. Mr. Ken, do you know you've been muted, or is it your issue again?
I don't know how I got muted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So expense incurred at the application stage shall be stated as a line item in the financial statement that must be submitted by the applicant. Such expenses shall not be borne or shared by the customers. If there are any expenses incurred during application stage, maybe the application fee or thereabout, at no time should customer be meant to borne such expenses. Then at the appendix 1 of the some of the Sandbox provided that there are some regulatory requirement that may be waived, and there are some that may be relaxed, and there are some that will not and may not be relaxed as well. So with that, any regulatory requirement that deals with protection of policyholders will not be waived or relaxed. Anti-money laundering or CFT requirement will not be waived or relaxed. Then legal due diligence as well will not be waived or relaxed. Then fit and proper due diligence on persons or individuals that will run the organization or the firm. Then summary of other appendices. Appendix 2 contains the minimum IT infrastructure requirement for operation of regulatory Sandbox. And the Commission already released an IT standard for insurance industry. So any applicant who is coming in must actually comply with this Commission's IT standard already released. Why Appendix 3 listed information that must be contained in the proposal letter. Information and documents that must be fulfilled before applicant will be admitted into the Sandbox is contained in Appendix 4. Why Appendix 5 contains the minimum information that is required in the innovation development manner, which the applicant would solely develop. I think with that, I say thank you. And your voices matters. Any suggestion, questions would be appreciated. I think I'm done here.
Yeah, so maybe Ken, there are a couple of slides maybe you might have missed.
Okay.
On the if you kind of scroll back, there's that area of exiting, not really exiting on just up. I think there was when you broke, there's an area you had not really finalized.
Okay.
Consumer safeguards, yes. Yeah, on the test requirements. Yeah, so on the testing requirements. Yeah, I think these are, yeah, you dropped here. Then maybe if you can just quickly take on this, then yeah, we go to the next stage.
Okay, all right, perfect then. Okay, every at application stage, the applicant and the Commission actually do need to sit and agree on the testing parameters, benchmarks, and goals that will determine success or failure of the test. So this is actually done from the word go before approval is actually granted. So it is with this that we actually begin to test each applicant. It's actually on a case-by-case basis, actually. If an applicant at the end of or before end of test is found wanting from all the parameters and benchmark actually set, the approval will be revoked. The test environment shall not exceed 12 months, of which an extension of 6 months and one-time extension only is permissible. So, of course, the testing period is just 12 months, and there's a 6 months extension permissible. And the applicant have 30 days to actually, before expiration of 12 months, to actually request for this 6 months extension, and that request must contain reasons and sources are actually a report of what has actually transpired within that period before that extension can be granted. And it is also on the discretion of the Commission to either grant the license or decline. Then costs applicant, the person, either InsurTech or insurance companies, whoever that is the applicant in this instance, will not use its employees to test run the environment. We'll see where people get the employees to actually serve as customers within that space. So that will actually not be acceptable. Should I take customer safeguard, Elias?
Yeah, so you can take on customer safeguards, and I think that will be good.
Okay, great. Okay, so the NAICOM Act in Section 7H gave the Commission powers to protect insurance policyholders and beneficiaries as well as third parties to insurance contracts. So with that, the guideline now provided that applicants in this must ensure that it has a way of protecting consumers, and and the following this is at minimum what the applicant must ensure to do at all particular times as regards customer safeguard, which includes they must at all times disclose information and risk regarding the test. Prior consent of the customer to participate in this. At any time, you don't bring out the product and the customer sees it as a product that is running. The customer at the word go should know that this is a test product, so that they will know from the beginning. Number of consumers for the test or segment of customer. Limiting the number of consumers for the test or segment of consumers must also be listed so that everybody will know. Then the amount of transaction or the amount per transaction. Sorry, the amount for per transaction also must be limited. Then quick redress mechanism where there are complaints by the customer. The confidentiality of customers' information must be strictly adhered to. Consumers also are at the liberty to opt out from the participation in the test at any time they so wish. So they cannot be held bound until the end of the testing period. So I think with that, if it is okay, if you guys are okay, then we can go to the next stage. Otherwise, if you still want more explanation on the roles and responsibility, then I can go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's okay, Kenneth. I know there are a couple of questions that are coming through the chat. And I think the other thing would be kind of to get people asking questions. So maybe I can just start with some of the questions that are already in the chat for you and also for the team that is joining us from NAICOM. Okay. One question is coming from Jeremy. He's asking, can an insurer apply to the sandbox with multiple different insurtechs? Now, the key thing here is that you mentioned within this particular presentation, there are two components whereby an insurtech or any other person as the commissioner may deem. Does it mean that the insurtechs have to basically seek an insurer to apply, or an insurtech can apply and say that this is the insurance company that we'll be working with? Because, those two conversations are usually different, whereby if you go to an insurer and tell the insurer to apply, it might take time, or maybe if you apply and say that you're partnering with an insurer, it might be easier. So can you clarify on that? What does any other party as deemed by the commission mean? Does it mean that an insurtech can apply in partnership with an insurance company, or it's only the insurance company that applies on behalf of the insurtech?
All right, thank you, Elias. Ordinarily, the insurance company should be the one to apply, but in this case, an insurtech can actually submit an application, but in partnership with any insurance company within his operational purview.
All right, so I think then that's clear. So Jeremy, ideally what this means is that an insurtech can apply for the sandbox in partnership with an insurance company. So ideally, it depends with what level of contract service level agreements that you've signed with different insurance companies. So if your solution is open to many insurance companies, then you can go with multiple, or if it's only with one insurance company, then you can only use one. So I think that is clear to the question that you asked. Now, the second question is on Siani. Does the insurtech provide a need to be registered in Nigeria to qualify for the sandbox framework, even where the insurtech partner is locally registered? I think that is quite straightforward. Maybe Ken or your team can answer that.
Okay, maybe if I can actually take on that, then maybe I'll call on any of my team to actually speak to that. Actually, before a business can actually be permitted to operate in Nigeria, it has to be a registered business in Nigeria. So I don't know, Obi, would you want to add more to that? Obi, are you in?
Ken. Hello, Ken. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, let me speak that. I think that happens to be a statutory requirement that when you want to practice in Nigeria as a company, you need to have your presence in Nigeria. And in doing that, you are expected to register such entity. So I believe that's a requirement because there are stages involved. It's all about trying to know who want to do business or who we want to do business with. So it's a statutory requirement for companies that want to operate in Nigeria, get themselves registered in Nigeria. I don't know, Ken, if that really says what you want to say.
Absolutely, sir. I actually wanted you to say that. Thank you, sir.
Right. Yeah, so that's great. So ideally, it means that for you to operate in Nigeria, you must be registered. So that basically means that you need to get a business license to basically apply for the sandbox. I think that's also a requirement in other different jurisdictions whereby there's need to have some form of registration. Maybe I'll ask the next question. Would the solution provision be green, climate, or value forecast? I think what the Sandbox guideline says that it's on innovations. I think it doesn't limit on any form of innovation that you might need to bring. Yeah, so there's another question here from Newton. In the presentation mentioned, there's a financial requirements to be borne by innovators to get the sandbox. So yeah, what is the cost of registration? If you're applying, what is somebody required to pay? Kenneth?
All right. Incidentally, that hasn't been agreed. We are still waiting for a final consent from the management before we can actually say this is the actual amount to be borne by the innovators. So at this point, it's still vacant, so to put it.
All right. So kindly, once that has gone through, let us know. I've seen some hands that have been raised. So I'll start with Temi Tope, Adeyemi, Temi, and then I'll follow, and then Adeyemi will come in.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Ken, you can stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Temi?
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Temi.
Okay, thank you so much, Elias, for putting this together. Thank you so much, Oga Kenneth. Really enjoyed the presentation. So my questions are, number one, some of us in SureTech, we already have in the market product in partnership with insurers. Well, of course, applications have been made as regards those products through our insurance partner. Do we still have to apply to this sandbox? That's number one. Then number two is, if we have, so for us who already have products out there, if we have other products we are working on, do we have to now put those new products in the sandbox? Or rather, we just go ahead with the route, the regular route that we put out the first product. Then number three question is, as you know, most of the products we put out there, our customers are usually digital customers. I mean, customers we meet online, right, and seldomly offline, right? So I didn't hear anything about advertising. So for example, for a product that's even in the sandbox, what are there guidelines around advertising? And if there are, what are they? And for some of us who already have product out there, are there any sort of guidelines as regards advertising? And if there are, what are they? Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, those are
All right.
lots of questions. The team
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Tokwe. I don't know any of my team want to take that before I jump on it.
Mr. Ken. Hello.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Obi Onyewuchi, and I am part of the NAICOM team. So
I think we've dropped you. If you're on mute.
Okay. Maybe before he comes back, I can quickly take on. When he comes back, he can continue. Take on some of the questions as raised by Tokwe. Okay. On as regards the first question, which you said, would you need to make another application, or why you already have products running? For that particular product, no, you don't need to. And they actually partnered with your insurance company at that time. And it was the insurance company that actually submitted that application. So it actually complied with the position of the law at that time, and even in this regulatory Sandbox guideline. And other products that you intend to bring into the market, if those products are innovative and strange from what we used to have, strange in parentheses, if it's strange as regards to what we used to have in the market, then you have to put it in the sandbox. But if it is within the ambit that is well understood and can run within the insurance space, then you can actually, the insurance company, your partner, the insurer, will have to submit that as well. Submit the request for application for the approval to us, since you're already in partnership with that company. Then on digital customer, whether you can actually advertise, your partner will do the advert for you. I believe that solves the all houses on your behalf too. Hope I've been able to attend to your request, Tokwe. And if Obi is back.
Yeah, and sorry, one last question. How about if we currently have like a partner and we want to have more partners on our platform? How therefore do we go about that as an insurtech?
Okay, partner in terms of having more insurers in
having more insurers. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I think he's okay. Sorry, I think Bernard is, or maybe he wants to attend to any of them. Bernard, go ahead.
Okay, to add to Kenneth's point, for the product we intend to launch now, right? You need to apply to the commission now. Now, it's up to you to decide if you want to go through the route of the sandbox. Now, the commission will look at it. Now, also, if you may not decide, you may decide that you don't want to go through the sandbox, but the commission will also look at it and see that, oh, this product is novel and may require to go through the sandbox, and the commission will require that you go through the sandbox route. That's one. So you may also take note that the sandbox is temporary, right? All right. And after you exit the sandbox, you'll be required to do like some form of registration with the commission, like more like licensing, and the regulation for that is likely to come up, and all insurtechs will be required to have license in partnership with companies. Now, for the question you just asked regarding addition of new companies, you need to apply to the commission as well. Now, it's now up to you if you intend to carry that, you intend to do that partnership with the new companies, new insurance companies via the sandbox or the existing one. But the commission will also have to determine, based on your request, whether it should be the sandbox, and will advise you as appropriate.
All right, Tokwe, are you good with that? Okay. Elias, I think there's a question online from Gideon Freepong. Maybe would you take on that, or should I jump on it as well?
Yeah, so I think you can take on that. If an insurtech is to apply for Sandbox in partnership with insurance company, will it limit the insurtechs in operations if the insurtech solution is designed to work with more than one or two? Yeah, so you can take on that. But again, I remember I mentioned this. It depends with the contracting that you sign with the companies. You know, if a company would want exclusivity, or you need just to tell them that my solution is not exclusive. So again, yeah, so yeah, maybe NAICOM you can take that, but it depends with this might not be a Sandbox issue, but might be a contracting issue. So maybe Ken or the team, if you have some remarks around this.
All right, Bernard, can you take on that? Maybe a remark or something. I think Elias actually did justice to that. It's actually not a Sandbox issue, but a business contracting issues. Because if the company you're partnering want exclusivity, then no problem. But if you have in your contract, you actually have that I have the right to partner with as many insurance companies as I want, no problem. All you need to ensure is that approval is gotten from the commission at all times. Then a must on this insurance company be available. They mustn't be available. If you want to do the application yourself, you can actually find the application and attach their SLA signed between the two parties. Thank you. Bernard, go ahead.
Yeah, you've answered the question already. Like Elias actually said, it's more of a contract issue and not a Sandbox issue. Thank you.
Mr. Benga, can you please take on Ijoma's question? He said, will the broker be required to get another licenser?
Jaden.
All right, Ijoma, no, you don't need to get another license to operate within that space if you're partnering with an insurtech. So it's just the SLA between you and the insurtech that will require to actually give that approval. Hope that attends to your question. Tokwe.
Hello, Mr. Kenneth. I still have a follow-on question around the advertising thing, right? Your response was that it is the insurance partner that will do the advertising on your behalf, on behalf of the insurtech, right? And there's a sharp difference between insurtechs and underwriters when it comes to advertising. So from my experience engaging with an underwriter, the underwriter we currently engage with, they are stuck in the traditional way of advertising, right? And those traditional way of advertising, our customers are not there. Say, for example, our product of pay-as-you-go motor insurance, my partner wants to go and advertise it on newspaper. People within the age range, from the data we've collected so far, from those who have used our solution so far, the people within the age range have never opened up a physical newspaper in probably 20 to 25 years, right? They go online to get all of their news, right? So I'm just picking out this one out of the many examples. So if we're limiting advertising to only the underwriting partner, it therefore will slow down the potential growth rate of the insurtech. So I don't know what the regulator can do for us as regards that. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe just to clarify, and then maybe Ken, you'll kind of chime in. Now, if you look at most regulations, and I assume that this might still apply at NAICOM, when it comes to advertising, the key thing that the regulations look at is usually related to information that is passed to the consumer. It's never regarded that this information is coming from any particular channel, but is the information. So the key thing that a regulator will want to see is that if you are basically passing that information, regardless whether it's you as Temi that is pushing it out or it's the insurance company, the key thing is that the company the policyholder must be able to be aware of the benefit that is getting himself into, the conditions of the product, and who is carrying the risk. So it doesn't matter whether you are going to be pushed to do on a newspaper or on social media. The key thing is that what information will you be passing to your customer? I think that is how most regulations have been set out, so that even if it's you, Temi, that is going to be pushing those advertisements out, the customer must be aware of who is covering him and what kind of benefit is getting himself into, and what are the conditions for him to essentially claim or to pay his premium. So those are the basic elements within an insurance setting when you are passing out information in form of advertisement. So it doesn't really matter whether it's any form or who does it, but the information that goes to the client is usually the most critical. Maybe Ben or Kenneth.
Elias, you rightly put it in the right perspective. What the commission actually approved is once the insurer comes in and apply and information has been approved, the medium or the channel doesn't matter. So if the information has been approved, the insurtech can as well, based on that same information, disseminate that information using the medium, preferred medium of the insurtech's choice as well, provided it has been approved by the commission when the insurer applies for such information advertisement to be approved.
Yeah, and further to that, so when your partner is also working on the content of the advert, it is also on you to actually contribute to the content, to the way it suits, to the targeted audience as well.
So the key thing is, Temi, you can advertise. The issue is that you must meet the basic tenets of what the consumer is buying himself into, and they should be aware of what structural benefit that the product has. So anybody can do that based on any regulation.
Okay. Bernard, can you take on this question? What is the commission position on embedded insurance? Can embedded insurtech company have multiple relationship with full stack underwriters? But I think Taiwo, I think we already agreed on. We already commented on it, but let my colleague also take on and put some perspective to it as well. Alobam, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
These have been addressed earlier, indicating that the insurtech can apply with many, as much companies as they so wish, but that this will be subject to the contract they so sign with the insurance company. So it's more of a contract issue and not the sandbox issue. So if your contract with a particular insurance company is saying that your agreement is saying that, oh, you are limited to that company, or you are limited to companies that are not competitive with them, then you are bound by that contract. So except you have when you are within that agreement, you let the insurance company to know that, oh, the insurance entity to know that, oh, my contract will be with multiple companies, and so you are allowed to go with several companies. So it's more of a contract issue and not a sandbox issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry, what? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Taiwo can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hear you.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to participate in this. Then I'm a bit. I really want to get more clarification in terms of advertising. Okay, I heard that, and I'm sure that I heard it right, that the commission has to kind of regulate what is advertised and how it's advertised. That's understandable. But considering that the speed at which, well, someone like what the plans we have in terms of advertising, what's the process that the regulator will go through in terms of approving the approving the content of the advertising? What's the process? How long will it take? You know, because we're talking about speed to market, speed to launch, speed to scale. There's so many aspects to it. Can somebody just put me through that, please?
So let me just provide the general context, and I think NAICOM will be able to speak on the speed. Most of the time, if you look at various regulatory frameworks across the world, they are not basically in business of approving your advertisement. The key thing that they usually look at is that what information, because you are going to provide what we call a marketing brochure to the regulator. So as part of the product approval process, you'll get that the regulator, most of the regulators across Africa will ask you, kind of provide us what will be your marketing brochure, like a document that shows what you are going to tell the customers on when you are talking about the product. But they don't really go ahead and tell you that kindly bring your advertisement, want to watch it and see what you're going to say outside there. So typically, they just want to get the gist of your marketing material, what is going outside there. That material can essentially change regardless of what you want to portray, but the basic elements that the customer should be aware of, that is what the regulator usually keen on. Have you mentioned the benefit of what they're getting into? Have you mentioned how they can claim? Have you mentioned how who is carrying the risk? So those are the basic three tenets that they look at, but they don't. I haven't seen a regulator looking at all the advertisements that I'm going to put this on TV, I'm going to do that. Maybe if NAICOM does it, which I'll be interested to hear that. Maybe NAICOM, do you guys check on the videos if I want to do a video for marketing? And
good morning, Mr. Ken.
Go ahead, Obi.
Okay, so Elias, you are very correct. You are very correct. On the NICOM side, we have in our market conduct guidelines, we have guidelines on advertisements. So if before you come up with an advert, you should be guided by the wordings of market conduct guidelines, which addresses advertisement. In addition to that, you still have to run your advert through the commission. There's a unit that handles advertisement. So
okay.
So you disappeared, Obi. So how long does it take?
All right, I can take on that.
How long does it take for you to review the advertisements?
All right. It is dependent on the applicant. Most applicants, maybe when you add them to supply your information, they don't actually get back to you as swiftly as they should. But I'm aware that we've approved an advert within 24 hours and even some within less than 24 hours. So,
hello, Mr. Ken.
Yes.
Okay, like I was saying, we usually ensure your application for advert is in line with provisions in the market conduct guidelines as stipulated. And then another thing we do is to ensure that the product you intend to advertise is one that we have already approved, that has been approved by the commission. And then we check to ensure it is in line with our provisions. Those are basically the things we do if we are to approve adverts for any applicant.
Okay, and the speed of approval runs within 24 hours to about 48 hours.
Just to add to that, right? For those products that are going through the sandbox, so your advertisement goes in line with your brochure. So at the point of applying for the product to be on the Sandbox, right? Your advertisement as well goes in line. So once that has been approved to be on the Sandbox, so your advertisement is also as well approved together. So it's not as if you get the Sandbox approved first, then you now come back and now start applying for the product approval. What Obi mentioned is the fact that, yes, you may have been in existence and you have a product running, and you want to add certain elements to such product, probably for the mere fact that, oh, you are adding another insurer and you intend to have that same new insurer's name embedded as well. So we need to get such pass through us as well, so that we confirm that your application and your contract with the initial insurer is not one that is exclusive. It's something that allows multiple, so we won't be involved in issues where we start having complaints and conflicts of interest between one insurer and another. So that's what it's more likely when it comes to changing your advertisement and requesting for approval. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. I mean, if further clarifications are required, we'll let you know. But the only thing I'm worried about, which I said earlier on, is because, which I think Temitope kind of touched on it as well, is that for a market that is going to be very dynamic and is getting to be very dynamic, and considering that the audience we're trying to target are very dynamic and they have a very short span attention in terms of aligning with the product and understanding it, or wanting to engage with the product or service, speed is of the essence. And not only speed, relevance of the information at that time is very important. So I understand that you've spoken about the guidelines, which obviously we have to follow. And let's say, for example, well, we want to take something out and advertise something. Oh, sorry. Anyway, we'll clarify more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Taiwo. Further to the clarification already provided and what you just raised now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just provide some clarification. And I understand the sentiments around some of these provisions and all that. But it is important to reiterate here again that, the Sandbox is a testing environment. The whole essence of what we're doing is to see how we can spur innovation. But of course, we must not forget the context. The context, which is that even as regulators, we're still not comfortable with allowing some products to be tested and all that, because of course there are market conduct implications, there are legal implications, a lot of things could go wrong. So we are treading cautiously. And so, of course, while some of the provisions might seem a bit draconic or might seem to even limit innovation, as we have said at the beginning of this program, the essence is to test. And also, we're also testing even the regulatory sandbox guidelines that we have. If after the initial period, we're a bit more comfortable, of course, we could even liberalize some of the requirements. So if there are concerns, we would appreciate having some of these concerns written, documented to NAICOM, so that in the long run, we're able to then review the Sandbox. The Sandbox is not a document that is sacrosanct. It can be reviewed. And of course, that the Commission will do in due course. Just to explain, to highlight this for everybody's sake. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'll just jump in for a second. I don't mean to be. Please, I understand that we have to work closely with the regulator. The regulator is the OGA. There's no qualms about that. It's just that, and thank you for the clarification, Dr. Jankara. We seek to work with you closely and collaboratively. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kenneth, you can go ahead to provide further clarifications, please.
All right, I think you've actually laid them down all. Okay, witness, before we go to the chat.
Oh, thank you very much. I would like to say I'm happy that the NICOM team has finally brought out they've launched the Sandbox, because I know we've been over this for like 2 years. I've heard of this Sandbox like 3 years ago, and I'm happy that it's even going live. I have like two, just me thinking out loud, two observations. First, I feel like if you look at it from a demand supply view, you will see that the major people who really need this Sandbox are the insurtech companies, and it seems like there's a lot of restrictions around them getting into the Sandbox. I saw the guideline, I understand it, but it seems like the demand section of it, they are the ones who will pay for the advertising. Because I'm just thinking, the insurance industry itself, how many insurance companies even understand tech? Not many, if we are being frank. Not many understand tech. If you look at it, I only see 5 to 7 insurance companies that probably would utilize this Sandbox. So the insurtech collaboration has been around 5 to 7 insurance companies. So I'm just thinking out loud, is there a way of opening up the space more so that it can be properly utilized, so it doesn't just become another initiative that will just be there, and the utilization rate will be very poor? That's one. Secondly, how does this Sandbox increase the speed of approval for new products? I just want to get that clarity. How does it help? Thank you.
Very good questions.
Tim? Yeah. Okay, I'll allow Obi to take on the second question. Obi, can you take on the second one? Why maybe Bernard or myself will jump on the first one?
Well, Mr. Ken, I didn't quite get the second question because I was struggling with the network. But in addressing the submission of Mr. Witness, I would want to stand on the submission of Mr. Jankara, where he said the Sandbox is a testing ground. And if we see that is going to be very successful, of course, the Commission is open to giving more people opportunity and then enlarging the scope where need be. So for the issue of paying for adverts, I don't think the Sandbox as a framework has really addressed any issue on payment for adverts and all that. So that's my submission on that.
Okay, thank you. The second question that you didn't get was how does the Sandbox guarantee speed processing of the applications?
Okay, the speedy processing. Okay,
I saw that's Mr. Kamal is a copper.
Ladi, please mute yourself.
Okay, on the speedy execution of the application, the Commission has come up with, based on the internal framework the Commission has in place, they have put up a unit that will now be in charge of processing applications as it relates to Sandbox operation. So with that, I believe applications will be treated in good time. That is my submission.
Sorry, just to jump in on that. Thank you very much for the response. I also wanted to get clarity with respect to one part of the presentation. If you look at the presentation, that's the Sandbox approval process. I want to understand what you meant by compliance with extant regulations. I thought it was meant to be an innovative approach. So I want to get some clarity with that line. I know you said there must be a solution offering, there must be risk management, there must be IT infrastructure, but what do you mean by compliance with extant regulations? So we can, because if it's new, it's probably breaking something that we normally don't see. So I don't know if you can just give some fleshing to it.
Mr. Ken.
Yes.
Can I?
Go on.
Okay, Mr. Witness, the essence of the sandbox is not to flout regulatory extant laws, is to see how we can relax some of it. So if, for instance, there's a requirement for KYC that is being made from CBN, we won't tell you you should flout it, or we as the commission will now want to bend that law because you are coming to do sandbox operation. So there are other regulators that may be involved in you coming in as a sandbox operator, and some of your innovations may touch around some of their own laws. So we as the commission will not tell you to bend. We as the commission cannot bend those laws because we want our sandbox operation to be successful, or for it to be, how do I put it now? So that's just the point. So
Okay,
we are not flouting
yes.
any law in
Obi,
that
thank you very much.
Yes,
Obi,
sir.
yeah, thank you for the clarification. I will just clarify that here again is one of the challenges in operating in an environment where you don't understand. Even for conventional insurers, they are also subjected to other laws and regulations. I'll give you an example. For Sandbox, one of the key challenges with Sandbox is confidentiality of information and data protection and all that, especially given the fact that it is IT-driven and given the elevated challenges with cyber crime and all that. So, of course, you would also remember that there is an NDPR Act that was recently passed. I think it was in 2021 or 2022, which then requires certain confidentiality around information you collect. So this kind of requirement in the sandbox, it's more or less to draw attention to the fact that some of this regulation will still apply, and operators are required to ensure they comply. It is not as if we want to subject it to other regulations, but there are national laws that must be complied with that are beyond the scope or the authority of a sandbox to waive. And so it is important you understand that. That is the context from which that clause was inserted.
Thank you, Dr. Jankara. We really appreciate that response. Thank you, Tim. For me, just a final submission. Because I've looked forward to this sandbox going live, since 2 years back, and I would just like to say that there might be some sense of enlightenment, a lot of push to enlighten insurers, the people that you expect to be on this sandbox more, to participate in this sandbox, for it to get the required adoption rate that you need. Because I know it's new. It's a very hard place to be if you are a NAICOM official, because you're trying to protect the customers, and at the same time you're trying to make the place more innovative. I know it's very hard, but please, I would ask that a lot of enlightenment is done on this. Let other insurance companies get into it. If you can even participate in the next CRN engagement or all CRN engagements where the insurance guys are, let's push it more so that they can understand it. And we have a deficit of IT guys, so I don't know how we are going to fix that in the industry. Thank you.
Sorry to add, your concern is that many companies are not IT, so you are seeing that as a concern. For me, I will see that more as an opportunity, in the sense that you have more companies to discuss and bring on board. So yes, a company may not be willing because they don't have the wherewithal or the know-how or the tech requirements. To have the tech requirements, then it means to go to such companies. So except where, for me, if we have more companies, then I would think we have more challenges because companies are already saturated. Now, when a company is already tech savvy, why do you think they may leave you? All the things you have on the Sandbox kind of things that a tech-savvy company can as well apply for and do without an insurtech company. So if you're an insurtech company, I would say this is the right time to come in, market those companies that are not tech-savvy, and bring them on board and make them tech-savvy and make them competitive with those that are already tech-savvy. I see it as more as an opportunity for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Obi, do you want to speak, or you're just here?
No, let me just add something. Bernard has actually spoken well. I will just add that, you see, the insurance industry today is much more aware of the need for innovation, and they're actually looking forward to opportunity without trying to speak for the industry. Be that as it may, we understand the fact that the need to even partner with somebody else poses a challenge for insurtech. We are aware of that. But the first thing we're doing, and of course, this is a project, we're starting somewhere. And so my appeal would be that let's test what we have first. And if there are challenges, through our feedback mechanisms, let's be informed of whatever challenges there is, and the commission can look at it as we move along. And that was why I said the arrangement itself is not sacrosanct. It is subject to review. So we're going to go ahead as it is now. We're then going to get input if there are challenges and if that is not spurring the needed innovation that is required. And if the commission is then comfortable that on the basis of our experience from what we have currently, we can then liberalize further, we will do that. Okay, but the challenge is, as a commission, we would rather like to start cautiously to gain an insight, a better understanding of what operates in this industry, in the insurtech space, before we can then further liberalize in due course. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jankara. So, Pazion, your question is here. Actually, it doesn't limit. It doesn't limit your progress, just like Dr. Jankara actually explained thus far. We have to start crawling before we walk, then run. So, so whatever is your fear, don't be scared. We are moving in the right direction. I'm sure. Said innovators and entrepreneurs are limited by how progressive. So no, it will not affect how progressive the insurtech wants to get. So anyhow you want to move, you can move speedily as you want. But let's just start running, walking first, then we can run. Jeremy, if the insurer in Nigeria surprised, they allow the insurtech to operate as a technology partner. Well, if you're a business, that's also take me to your other question on cost-effective route to apply for Sandbox along with a local insurer. The cost here is just for you to register your subsidiary in Nigeria. That's all. So for now, to operate in the Sandbox. So when we get out of the Sandbox, then we can actually take the other concern of yours. Ensure that any access fee would not contribute to barriers. Noted, Gabriel. We will ensure that does not limit light, but does not cause any barrier to the growth of innovation. Dr. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth and Dr. Jankara. I mean, you guys have been the ones that have, I mean, these are like strong personalities that I've known at NAICOM, especially as regards to our product in the market. And God bless you guys, really, good. So this Sandbox, it's a delight to me personally, and I'm very sure it is a delight to the insurtech space, and which of course with the intention, I mean, NAICOM just doesn't have the intention. We visibly can see that they are putting actions to their words, right? which is a delight to me that yes, the industry is ripe for innovation, and the industry, the regulator is ready for changes here and there. However, I'd like to give a suggestion, right? That for us as an industry to get to where we want to get to, because this sandbox is for the regulator to see how things is going to go, then be able to now come up with a solid regulation, especially because I want to believe that this is centered around insurtechs, right? So for us to get to, so let's say, for example, it will take the regulator 5 years to get to where they will be comfortable and be able to come up with the regulations. We can shorten that 5 years to probably 2 years or 3 years. And part of the ways we can get to do that is when the regulator is coming up with these policies, these wordings, these regulations, I mean, if they can involve the insurtech players themselves, okay, here are the topics we want to put up policies around. Okay, let's have what you guys think, right, about these topics. Okay, IT, product design, go-to-market strategy, all of that, right? Then, of course, we prepare something, submit to the regulator. The regulator looks at that compared with what they already have, right? So I believe very much well that will shorten the time, because we as insurtechs, we're going to be writing majorly based off on data. Like our product pay per minute auto insurance right now, we've been in the market for 10 months, right? We already have data as regards people wanting to pay as they go, as regards auto insurance, right? So these are valid data that could help the regulator. Let's say, for example, the regulator want to come up with regulation in that space, right? So I'm just of the opinion that if the regulator can go a step further in involving the insurtechs when they want to come up with regulations and all that, it probably will help the entire industry move a lot faster. Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth and Dr. Jankara. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. for that. On involving insurtech, well taken. Your suggestions are all well taken. And as a matter of fact, we are working on a certain document, which once we get approval, I won't want to mention it here. Once we get an approval, we'll definitely get insurtechs involved in fine-tuning it and agreeing to some of the terms that actually within that agreeable stage. So before we can expose it fully to the market. Thank you very much, Dr. Elias, over to you.
Right. So I think we've really done justice to this discussion, and I think mine is just to really appreciate all the attendees, NAICOM for also really accepting to lead this particular discussion. Regulatory issues, I usually say it's a journey. There's no one point that you'll be able to be fully satisfied with a policy or a regulation. Businesses move faster than regulations, and most of the time, what we try and what regulators try and do is to kind of make the regulations as plausible as possible, as responsible as possible, but also as I would say as consumable as possible. So I think this is a first step. We will we'll work with NAICOM to see how best this sandbox is implemented. We really want to see companies applying, because most of the time policies are well kind of maybe reviewed or changed or basically updated once institutions have managed to kind of start using it or start applying for its utilization. So mine is to encourage the insurtechs and also any innovator within Nigeria, also across Africa, to look into this and see avenues in which you can start benefiting out of this particular regulation. We will always look at how best it will be fit for purpose and proportionate to your needs, but also let's ensure that we also make sure that our customers, particularly the insurance consumers, also get the rightful products that are highly customer-centric, products that will be able to meet their needs and also enable them to become more resilient within the various risks that they are currently facing. Mine is just to appreciate everyone that attended this call. Until next time, if you still have further questions, please kindly, you can drop your questions to us. We have our team members that are in this particular call, Mary and Titus. We'll be able also to share the presentation. I know it has also been shared on the chat. Also, I know NAICOM will also be able to share with you the guideline itself, so that you might also be able to go through it. And in case you have further questions, most of the time regulations require clarity. Please reach out to NAICOM, ask them for clarifications. In case maybe you cannot reach to them, kindly reach to us. We should be able to organize one-on-one discussions with NAICOM. I want to end here and just to appreciate all the time that you've taken to join this call. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, until we meet again when we will be discussing other further issues regarding regulations within a Nigerian market.